Nvidia is the stock of the day. It reported better than expected revenue for the first quarter of 26, made $81.6 billion US dollars in sales for the first quarter, forecast $91 billion US for the second quarter, which was above expectations, reported adjusted EPS of $1.87 a share. Cash dividend increasing from 1 cent to 25 cents. A big reward for shareholders. The chipmaker making a record $75.2 billion from its data center business. That's up more than 90% from a year earlier. Margins increasing overall. All right, Mark, pick it up then.
Overall, it's an excellent result, and they're continuing to improve. So effectively, they're up 85% on year over year if you look at the quarter compared to last year, and their profitability has gone up. I think they're in the low 70s now. So all it means is Nvidia is just continuing to grow, which of course is totally the opposite to what all the analysts said who had them forecast 2 years out of growing at 20% or less, because and it's on a 45 trailing PE and probably 22 or 23 forward. So it's very cheap. And my view is that we're still in the early stages of the AI build out. So I think Nvidia's got a decade ahead of it. So I think it's an absolute buy.
An absolute buy. Your view has not changed one bit there.
No, and by the way, it's my second to biggest position. So okay. I'm very happy with that. Now, by the way, over the last few months, it's done respectively. I think the last month's up about 10%. That's nothing compared to what some of the other companies that have done 5x in a month. So it's not beating everything, but it's super safe, reliable. It's a fantastic business. I think they've got is it 90 billion now invested in other companies? So they've got a very large portfolio of investments, which in things like Anthropic and OpenAI and CoreWeave, they're all going to pay off massively as well. I think Nvidia's future is very bright.
Okay, Mark Gardner, what's your view? And are there any risks ahead? Sort of, we take a look at where those bond yields have gone. Obviously, increasing costs of debt. Is that going to drag on Nvidia's biggest customers, do you think?
Categorically, yes. This is a strong buy on pullbacks. We're probably not going to get too many double buys today because I think now earnings season's out of the way. We're in for a 10 to 15% plus pullback at some stage. Bond yield, look, commodities, every part of the market is paying attention to bond yields except the equity market. And I get that because we've had earnings and the hyperscalers make the headlines, etc. But look, it was, I think, probably one of the highest quality earnings that Nvidia's had, because that exponential growth in GPUs, etc. Look, that's great, and I think that's probably what the analysts were referring to. But this was what changed my mind a couple of years ago or a year and a half ago on Nvidia. Was Jensen had a plan outside of the GPUs, and what I was the edge computing stuff and their CPU where they're and the growth in the CPU part now.
LPUs now.
And everything with the U. The circular financing things it all seems to be built on IOUs, but it's a much more well-rounded business than just it's selling one product now. So long term, I'm much more confident buying Nvidia long term, and they're not going to be a Cisco. To go back to to the tech bubble crash and things like that. These massive uplifts in Anthropic's valuation were accounted for half of the. So I think earnings was up 27%. It's actually only up, if you take out the valuation increases in Anthropic and SpaceX for Google and the hyperscalers and all those guys, it's actually only about, it was not 27%, it's actually back down to 12. So, which is around about, so the earnings season is not as good as the headline number because of those valuations. SpaceX lodged this morning and they've got their ticker code, and it could be 2 to 4 weeks apparently until it's on, supposedly.
It's supposed to be on the 12th of June.
Yeah, okay.
Biggest ever IPO.
Very exciting.
Which may suck some money out of some of the other hyperscalers potentially if people want to get involved in the IPO. Long term, I think I've never been more confident that this will be long term. That it's not going to have a fall off a cliff. But at the moment, the equity market in itself, I think inflation, the PPI numbers were 6%. That's going to take a month or two to filter through this to the consumer. Consumer sentiment numbers were the lowest they've ever been on recorded history since 1952. I think there's going to be a dip in the economy, disposable income, and Nvidia relies 46.6% of their revenue is hyperscalers. So, Oracle, Apple, Meta, Google, etc., Microsoft, AWS. If they pull back on spending, it's going to hurt them. So, but like I said, it's very strong buy on pullbacks. But it's more. It's a much more well-rounded company than it's ever been.
So what? Holding now? Just wait.
You'd hold now, and you'd add on weakness.
Okay.
Basically, indefinitely.
And we're in an environment where we're going to get lots of volatility. So it's actually compressing. What used to happen once a year is now happening 3 or 4 times a year. So there's plenty of opportunities to buy quality companies when the market has a bit of a spaz for whatever reason.
Yeah, we bought like a couple of weeks ago. So below 200, I'm very happy.
You make a good point too, Mark, given the IPO. So SpaceX, OpenAI, Anthropic coming up, and they are going to be vacuum cleaners, aren't they?
Well, you're going to have to find $3 trillion in capital somewhere.
They're Not really.
Not necessarily. But
SpaceX are only talking about raising $75 billion. But let's say they raise $150 billion. It's not that much.
Yeah.
I mean, didn't OpenAI recently get $120 billion on the private market?
Yeah. I mean, look, and Anthropic's done a $300 billion.
I don't actually buy that argument.
Okay.
Because remember, Musk is not selling.
Yep.
There will be some sales, obviously, from the early investors into the float, probably. But it's not how much liquidity is there going to be there. I don't know. It's not $2 trillion.
I think you're underestimating how much are in those 3 times ETFs in the States. And that's where it probably will get sucked out of.
Okay.
And
all right. Well, we'll pick up on that conversation perhaps a little later in the year then, or maybe even earlier than that. That was our stock of the day, Nvidia. So broadly positive, obviously. Mark Moreland, clearly, it is a strong buy still.